Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for Delicious in Dungeon Season 1 on Netflix. And I overall really enjoyed this anime, and I really want to see where they go in Season 2. So, our basic premise is that in this world, there are dungeons that can crop up. This one specifically in this one town, this old fucking dude's like, oh, this dungeon, it's got this mad mage thing. You beat its ass, you get the whole kingdom. Scootaloo, and then he turns into dust and disappears. And that kind of sets us up for what's kind of going on here. Now, granted, throughout the rest of the season, we learn a little bit more about the world, but that's pretty much the basic kind of premise we have on. We then shift over and we see this group of adventurers fighting this red dragon. However, things are going a little bit kind of nutty, and this Laos dude is kind of not paying as much attention as he needs to. And then we learn that his sister, Fallon, pushes him out of the way, and she gets pretty much grasped in the dragon's maw and then teleports the rest of the party away. And they're like, what the fuck? And of course, two of their party members leave, and it's just down to Laos, Marcel, this elven mage, and Chilchuk, a halfling kind of thief. So they really don't have much. They don't really have enough for food and gear, so they just decide to go kind of as light as possible, go in, and they meet up with this Senshi dwarf dude. And they pretty much start learning about eating the monsters in the dungeon. So that pretty much really gets us into the central premise that they need to get back into the dungeon to save Laos's sister, Fallon, that she is pretty much eaten by the dragon, but yet she should still be in a stable enough condition that they can get her out, as long as it doesn't take them too long to get down to that floor and get her out of the dragon. So that sets up our central conceit. Now granted, this follows more of a food wars kind of thing. Now granted, that one's more focused on the food and the ichi kind of stuff going on. This is more focused on the character's world and the actual preparation of the food of what's going on. Because they have a time limit, they have pretty much limited funds, so they're pretty much going to go through this dungeon and eat the monsters that go on there. Laos is really just a little bit too on board with that, same with Senshi, but we see them and they do a really good job of showcasing all the different kind of foods, giving us the context of the monsters and everything. It's, even though there's action and fighting that goes on to kill the monsters, it's very much just a kind of chill kind of thing of learning what's kind of going on, with the action and the fantasy stuff more in the background, even though they do bring it to the foreground for lore, world building, character building as well. They balance it well enough, but the main focus is the food, as we see them going through, trying to figure out what's going on. Marcel being like, I don't want to do this, and then at the end pretty much being alright with what's going on. So the first half really deals with them kind of going through this, us understanding what's going on. We learn about other kind of groups going on trying to get the dungeon to take down the Mad Mage. And let's see. Cabro. He wants to make sure that the elves don't take this dungeon, and that somebody who's really worthy of it would take the power of it and pretty much represent maybe more of the tall men, because we got tall men, halflings, elves, dwarves, orcs as well, and then various kind of demi-humans and everything that are kind of iffy on the monster kind of front in there. But the first half is pretty much getting to Fallon and kind of rescuing her and seeing what kind of goes on with this. It's like, okay, interesting politics and everything going on. Let's see, was I going on with anything? But we see the characters showcasing what goes on. Marcel showcasing magic, eventually teaching Laos some magic, mainly in the second half because of how crazy everything gets. Chilchuk being like, listen, I'm your trap rogue dude. Listen to me with this stuff. And of course, Senshi doing everything with the cooking and all that. We learned that he uses adamantine shields for his pretty much pans, and then he's got a mithril knife that he uses for cutlery. That's like, okay, well, for preparation for the food. But we see them going through and having crazy ass encounters as they're going through, getting through all the different kind of monsters before they eventually get down to the level and see the dragon. And that is an amazing kind of fight. It is hard fought. Laos loses his leg, but Marcel's able to kind of reattach it, and we learn that they were unable to get there before she was digested. However, they're able to find all of her bones, and utilizing dark magic, or ancient magic, well, black magic / ancient magic by Marcel, because she's trying to figure out how to make dungeons herself and everything. That's pretty much why she was part of the party, wants to learn more about the Mad Mage, who we've seen is connected to this one kind of king, at least in the first half. In the second half, we learn that he's got pretty much this kingdom, and of course the king was the one that warned the people about the dungeon and the Mad Mage, because he's pretty much kept him in an immortality spell, trapped, cursed pretty much. And this becomes important because he's utilizing ancient magic, and Marcel utilizes ancient magic and dragon meat, which you're normally not supposed to do, to revive Fallon. However, this allows her to be pretty much manipulated by the Mad Mage to look continuously for this king. And it's like, oh shit. And that's where the second half kind of comes in. The party is trying to find Fallon, take down the Mad Mage, gets introduced to the rest of the kingdom's inhabitants, and then gets set on their kind of quest to find this winged lion dude, mainly because he's Laos has this sword that's winged and has this mollusk in it, which helps alert him to monsters and everything. It's like, tell people about that, because that really fucked them over in the dragon fight as the sword was trying to escape from the dragon. And Chulchuk's like, what the fuck, man? Learning Chulchuk's aversion to fucking mimics because of every time getting fucked over by them. But also, at the second part, they get introduced to Itsuzumi, who is one of Shiro's kind of people. She has been fused with this other kind of beast. She's like a cat girl. But it's not just, oh, we have a random cat girl. It actually makes sense within the story. I'm like, thank you. And she has a similar kind of condition to Fallon. However, it's not exactly the same. We also learned that Senshi had a horrible time with learning about this place, that the people, the dwarves that he was with, accidentally found it. They're going through and losing their party members and everything. And they encounter this griffin, and he's afraid of it because he does. At a certain point, he wasn't sure if he had eaten dwarf or it was griffin. And the thing is, we learned that it was hippogriff, and that they were able to change the meat with this changing circle, and it was the same meat, the hippogriff meat. And seeing that kind of weight and Senshi kind of deal with what the greed kind of did to his friends and comrades, and also to his mentor, which he's like, hey, we have to feed the youngins, and that is part of what goes on with him, to feed the youngins as well. It's really kind of cool. And I loved the voice actors that they got for everyone. There was no one that stood out that was really kind of bad or anything. I think they embodied the characters well, and everything that was going on, especially with Senshi, as he's going through being his kind of gruff self and then dealing with this kind of part. Marcel talking about her sisterly bond with Fallon, how they both went to the same magical school and kind of learned about each other. And Chulchuk learning that he's like 29 years old, has a wife and like kids, and doesn't want to fucking talk about it. Itsuzumi, who wants to get back to, like, to see herself as a normal girl at some point. We'll have to see how that works out for them, because it kind of ends with the whole hippogriff kind of bit, and them going down this mysterious kind of dwarven mechanism to go deeper. But I liked the world and the characters. Laos, I kind of connected with a little bit, mainly because of his the brother and sister relationship. However, he's more kind of scatterbrained and more just intensely focused on monsters and learning more about them and wanting to eat them and see what they taste like and everything like that. So I would be more along the lines of probably some kind of, no, I'd be kind of my own kind of character. I mean, there's bits and elements, but I'm not as focused as Marcel on the kind of ancient magic or Chulchuk just doing what he needs to do. I did like seeing the kind of animosity that we had between the elves and the orcs as they were kind of going down to try and find Fallon. But I hope that we get more on that at some point, because that's more, we get it, but we're not given enough time for it to properly breathe, because we see Kabru trying to fight this elf party from going into the dungeon because he was from a village that was destroyed by a dungeon, and then this same elf crew had come in and dealt with it as well. However, certain dead corpses were turning into monsters afterwards. Like, what's going on with these dungeons? And why are these things happening? Those are the things that really interest me about this show. Again, I still love the main kind of conceit and the characters in the world building. It's like, alright, basic premise, I'm on with this. But I'd like to see more of what's kind of going on. I want more room to breathe to understand the politics of the orcs being forced into these dungeons and then trying to fight and live and survive, so that way they don't get completely and utterly wiped out. What's kind of going on? Why are the elves and everything like that doing this? The dwarves, the tall men, the halflings. How do all these things kind of interact? Because this is mainly set on an island, and we've got like this lord dude that's kind of almost a governorship on it. He's pretty much strong-armed by the elven party sent in there to pretty much let them do what they do. Kabru pretty much tried to put them off of actually kind of doing that. However, they just decide to go in and yeah, we'll see what kind of goes on, you asshole. As one dude's pretty much up to his kind of game and tricks. Shuro is a lord and wanted to, he was one of the other kind of party members. We even get delved into his backstory as he wanted to marry Fallon, and then learning what they had done, he was severely angry and fought Laos over that. Who's the other one? Namari, that's who it was. She's the one that pretty much gets us the understanding of what's going on with, and she's adamantine cookingware. And I think they did a good job with these characters. They set us up with them. We get to know them. They're not completely and utterly background characters. Kabru's party isn't the most fleshed out, but they don't feel like cardboard cutouts that are just there for the sake of it. When these people die, it's like, holy shit. However, they do get resurrected because of the fuckery that goes on with the dungeon. If you die in the dungeon, your soul's still tethered to your body. So if you get a resurrection person there fast enough with regular resurrection magic or ancient resurrection magic, you can still work it out and still come back to life. Most of our party members in Laos's party have died as well, so it's like, oh, this is my first death, and seeing those kind of things were kind of funny, and I think worked out pretty well. And the pacing of this, it's 24 episodes. I think it's nicely delineated between the initial search for Fallon and then our secondary search because of everything that's going on with the Mad Mage. I didn't feel burnt out for it. Watching like a good couple of episodes worked out pretty well, and I didn't feel like it needed more or less. I think it told its story in an effective kind of manner. Again, that's a hard thing to do. Let's see here. Yeah. 24 episodes. Worked it out. I didn't think of like, oh, I needed this or that. There's just more exploration that we can get with the world and the world building and everything like that. And I like the action scenes. I think Trigger did a very good job here. There's plot, characters, world building, and great action. And I would really recommend this to pretty much anyone. However, there is blood, guts, and shit that goes kind of on, and scary kind of things. So watch out. Look into it, see if it's for you, and if it's not, that's fine. But I really enjoyed this and can't wait to see what happens next. So those are my opinions on the season. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.